What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another live stream here. So I figured I would go live, well, A, because I have the time, and because RKDA is running really, really big. And I figured, why not come on live and talk about a stock that's just absolutely killing it here today, which is RKDA. I believe we talked about it briefly on today's morning live stream, but I also sent it out in the morning watch list through our email list. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I want to talk about RKDA, right? It's up like 300% today. Joel, Mr. Michael, Rich, Joseph, what's going on, guys? So yeah, I mean, RKDA is freaking killing it. So what we're gonna do in this stream, we're just going to bring together a lot of stuff you may already know, some things I thought would be useful to talk about, because I know for a fact, these are the types of stocks that day traders live to see, we want to see every day. But of course, they don't happen every day. We wish they would, but they don't. So what we're going to do is kind of cover, a lot of the steps necessary to kind of, find these big runners. How can you identify the potential for these big runners and so on? A lot of stocks have the potential to run. Whether or not they actually do is a different story. So we're going to talk about a lot of things involving the stock, and kind of why it's running the way it is, and we're just going to go from there. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? So this should be pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen to you guys so you can see the stock chart and take a look at RKDA. That's what it is. And feel free to ask any questions at any time if you guys, if you'd like. So right here, we're looking at it, right? This is RKDA, absolute monster. It's ran from 12 all the way to 48. That's 299%, 300%. Okay, so this is absolutely massive, massive runner. We're going to talk about some of the patterns in here where you may have been able to hop in long and so forth, right? But more importantly, we're going to look at this daily chart, right? Like this is the daily chart on the stock RKDA. And as you can see, it just absolutely just boomed here, okay? So here's the deal. And actually, I'm going to put some text on the screen. Okay. So first thing we need in order. So number one. Oh, that's not coming up because my font's white. Okay. So number one, we need a low float. That is super duper duper important. So that's number one. To finding a massive runner like this. Okay, that's number one, low float. Without a low float, this is not going to happen. Okay, without a low float stock, there's no way in hell a stock's going to go from $12 to 48, in a day. It just won't happen. So first, we need a low float. Okay, and then let me see if I can add another. So you may be asking, what is a low float? Low float is basically the supply and the demand for a stock, right? So this here, oh, where did my text go? Oh, did it just get taken off? Oh, that's a pain in the butt. Here we go. So let me put this back. Number one, low float. So super important. You need a low float stock in order to have a massive runner like this, okay? Some of you may be asking, how can I find the float, or where do I find the float? Okay. You can simply find the float by going to finviz.com. So I'll show you this here, and let me move this over here real fast. Okay, and let me make it a little smaller. So we're going to learn, you guys are going to learn a fair amount like right now. Why is it being all weird? Oh, I see. Anyway, so if you go to finviz.com, well, let me pull this off. Oh, this is screwing up everything. Okay. So if you go to finviz.com, all right, you can come in here and put all this stuff back in order, right? So we need number one, low float. And drag this down a little bit. Oh, it just keeps going away. All right, I guess it's not going to save. Anyways, so you need a low float stock. So what you can do here is come to, FinViz, and you can type in RKDA, and, down here, it will actually show you, its float size, right? And it says it right here, share float. It says 500,000. That's actually incorrect. It's more like 1.2 million right now, I believe, 1.4 million. Okay, so this is what you need. You need a low float stock. So number one, we need low float stock in order to have a massive runner like this. You can find your floats very easily from finviz.com. As you can see here, it shows the float. Okay, I'm going to delete out of this and I'll pull this little text back. So first things first, we need a low float stock. Why is it? I see now. Anyways. The first thing you need is a low float stock, which we know, in order to have these massive, massive runners. A lot of times, what else you're really going to want to have, as well as a low float stock, is you're going to want to have, high short float interest. A lot of times, these massive runners will squeeze like this because they have high short float interest. Right now, particularly, RKDA doesn't really have that big of a short float interest. Okay, so let's go through this. This right here has, it's a big low float stock. The float's only like, I think it was like 1.7 million, right? That's low. A 1.7 million share float stock, that's really low. That's what can cause these really, really big squeezes. What you also have to notice is throughout this area right here, it basically was just consolidating and trading sideways. Okay, it is very possible that long term there were short sellers that shorted the stock down that actually had to cover up here. That's probably what started this squeeze, was long-term short sellers coming in, and then once it kind of bottomed out and the stock was just basically consolidating, they said, the hell with this, I'll just start covering up. So they're the ones that probably initially started this little bit of a squeeze. Let me go back to 3 years. See, look at this. From 176 down, right? So you got to think there's probably a lot of people short selling this long term, okay? Long term, until eventually the stock started bottoming out. Short sellers covered up a little bit, causing the stock to squeeze. Accompany that by a low float, and you get a really big boom. Okay, just like this. Okay, let me get these drawings off of here, clear those drawings out, and then get my mouse back. Now we're going to go into like a 5-day chart. Okay, so you can see this thing's absolutely ripping. You're not going to get this unless you have a low float, and then you got to have, some type of news catalyst that's going to start it. Okay, down here, if you look at for the 14th, they had news on the 12th, they had news on the 13th. No, not really any news on the 13th. A bunch of news this morning that RKDA Biosciences, let's see, prepares for commercial launch. Anyways, there's a bunch of news out this morning. So that's what we're looking for. In order to find these big runners, okay, you don't need to do this. Let me step back for a second. You're not looking for stocks that have been consolidating for a long time, that have a low flow, that have all these short interests. We don't pay attention to that, okay? We don't pay attention to that, okay? So when you're looking and you're trying to find big runners, you're not going to find them, okay? You are not going to find really, really big runners, okay? You're not going to find big runners by searching for them. Big runners just happen, okay? So the only thing you can really do to understand them is look in the morning when you're seeing a stock like this, right? When you're seeing a stock gap up like this, okay, it gapped from $12 pre-market and went all the way to a high of, what is that, $20-ish, right around, or $17. So from 12 to 17, really big gap. When you're seeing this kind of action pre-market, you should instantly go look down at your news channel, right? So when you see this type of movement pre-market, Look down at your news. Is there any news? If there is news, read the news. What kind of news are you reading? Is it legitimate? Is it something positive? If the price is going up like this, it's most likely positive news. So we look for stocks that are going up pre-market. We then identify the news catalyst down here, or you could go to FinViz, MarketWatch, doesn't matter, okay? You go there. Once you see that they're moving up, take a second to go to FinViz, or if you're using trade ideas, or if you have access to the float, find out what the float is, and then you would come to realize that this is a 1.7 million share float, which is really low, okay? A 1.7 mil share float, super low. Now you can already think, well, this definitely has the potential to be a massive runner because it has a low float, it has good news, people are trading it, it's already up. This is the type of stock that can be a big runner, so it should be on your watch list. There was some type of news driving this. You can look it up. It's there on Thinkorswim, right? So you first look for the stock pre-market. Pre-market, it's going up. Okay, why is it going up? It must be going up based off of some type of news catalyst. What's the news catalyst? Once you've identified the news catalyst, great. Now you could tell yourself, okay, it's got a low flow. All right, these are all the three things we need to look for a good potential stock to trade each and every day. Now that you've found it, keep it on your watch list and pay attention to it, right? So now you're watching it, pre-market opens, you have a really beautiful, basically a flat top breakout, almost an ABCD pattern right here. All right, you can see there's a little bit of resistance up at this top. But first we pop up, we pull back, put in our first low. That's our first low of the day. We push higher, see more resistance, pull back once again. That's our second low a day, but this low is higher than this low, and then that's the perfect entry right here to go long, okay? That was a perfect setup. Now you're only going to find these perfect setups when there's a lot of volume. Look at the amount of volume the stock was trading on, a lot of volume. You're only going to get these nice patterns and these nice breakouts with stocks that have a ton of volume. Nick, float does matter. Float does matter. So there was some news that was driving this. The float does matter on stocks like this. That's the only way they're going to boom like that, right? Now, let's clear off these drawings. And I'm actually going to hop back out here. So again, right, to find these massive, massive runners, you got to have low float, you got to have news, and you got to have volume, okay? You will waste your time if you kind of look around for big runners like this. They're just going to happen, okay? So don't try and look for all these combinations. They're just going to happen, and then once they start happening, you have to quickly look at the news, quickly look at the volume, quickly look at the flow, and then you can kind of formulate a game plan from there, okay? And then of course, trading, it's a different story. You have to be able to recognize these patterns and whatnot, and then also I wanted to show you guys this real quick. I want to show you this. Okay, 1 second. Okay, I'm going to show you this real quick. Let me get out of this. I don't want it full screen. Okay, earlier this morning I sent out, and this is completely free. So for any of you guys that tune in watching this or watch it later, you can use the description and look at the link in the description. It's the first link to Boiler Room Trading. Click that link, register for a free account if you would like, and I'll send you a free watch list every single morning. This is the watch list I sent out this morning, okay? The first stock on the watch list, not this, get out of here. That was the wrong one right here. This is the first stock that was on the watch list, RKDA. Now, I'm not telling anybody where to buy, where to sell. I'm simply just recommending stocks for you to keep your eye on in the free watch list, okay? So you guys can have these free watch lists as well. They're just a little bit of additional information that I send to you so you have a physical copy rather than having to run through a video, right? So I sent out a watch list. RKDA was the first stock to watch on the watch list this morning. Here it is, timestamped 3:14, sent out to 3,700 people who are on our watch list. Okay, so if you want to join in with them, go ahead. But I sent it to 3,700 people this morning watch list. So 3,700 people were alerted of what to potentially watch RKDA today, and the stock goes 300%. Now, is that going to happen every single day? No, it's not. But what I'm telling you guys is if you want to receive a free watch list, use the first link in the description below, create a free account, and then you'll get right onto our mailing list where you can get all these different watch lists, okay? So I did want to take the time there to really go over some of the details about finding these big runners. Okay, guys. So let me mention this: that to find a big runner, you're not searching for the big runner. Okay, you'll never find him. Okay. So this is how it works. Every morning you wake up and you go through pre-market scans. You go through pre-market up gappers. Pre-market up gappers are going to show you the stocks that are gapping up. Okay. Once you find a stock that's gapping up, so you have 1, find stocks gapping up. 2, check the news. Is there a reason they're going up? If they're going up, it'll most likely be because of news. 3, check the float. What kind of float is it? Is it high? Is it low? If it's low, you know that it could be potential for a big runner. And that's exactly what I said in the watches. I said this is a low float stock. Very possible that it becomes a big runner throughout the day. So pre-market gappers, check the news, check the float. That's your opportunity right there. Don't search for stocks consolidating for 3 months, stocks consolidating for 3 months with low floats that have a short float. And don't even worry about that. You'll waste your time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time. Why don't you just sit back and let it happen? Look for the pre-market gaps, check the news, check the float, and there you go. So low float for me, everybody's got a preference towards what they like and what they consider to be a low float. Right, everyone's got a different perspective on it, but for me, low float is really anything below 20, 25 million. Really, it's anything below like 20 million. Right around 20, 25 is kind of a medium. So like 20 to 80 million, that's like kind of medium. Then anything from 100 and up is basically a high float. Okay, so. Kenny, I have a free video. I mean, I have a scanner on YouTube for Thinkorswim that you can use for pre-market gappers. So you can just type in pre-market scanner or go through my video playlist and you'll end up finding that one as well that you can use. Okay. So again, right, these big gappers, and we can talk about this too. These big gappers, or sorry, not big gappers. These big runners aren't going to happen every single day. To be honest, they happen every few months, okay? Right now is the time to focus a lot of energy towards penny stocks in the penny stock market. Right now, the penny stock market's hot, okay? And give it 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, the penny stock market will be dead, okay? And then it will rotate to higher cap stocks, mid cap stocks, earnings plays, okay? And that's how this works. That's how it fluctuates, okay? I have many theories, and you could even call them conspiracies, on what the market does and the market makers and how they entice people to stay in the market. And I'm pretty sure it's true, okay? Penny stocks will be hot for a time, then it'll go to mid-cap stocks and back and forth and back and forth. But right now, penny stocks are definitely in, and this is what I would keep your eyes on. So does anybody have any questions about what I've covered or anything in general while we're still here? Anything at all? Right now I use Thinkorswim. I also use TradeNet every once in a while, or I use TradeNet. Then I'm considering moving over to IB right now, maybe even Centerpoint in the future. The second or third link below will have the link to the trading broker, so you can kind of look at some of their information too. No, do I think it's going to keep running? I don't think it's going to keep running. Or well, hold on. Yeah, I don't think it's going to keep running. Now this is on a big short selling watch list for the next few days here. Like right now the stock is going into a descending triangle pattern. Okay, people shorted up top here, people covered, people are adding in short here, people are adding in short here, looking for a breakdown of $37. Okay. No, Dan, you pretty much have to download every single trading platform to use a trading platform. There's really no way around it, unfortunately. Some have web-based platforms. Most everyone has a web-based platform, but they're not as good, right? You know, the trading softwares are the way to go. How do you fake bids usually come and go really fast. You usually see them in whole numbers. You'll see them at like 200, 100, 300. You know, they're usually on the first line. So there's a lot that goes into that, you know, and you know, a lot of times you don't always know if it's a fake bid or not. But you know, again, you'll usually see them in like large order numbers. There'll be large blocks of like 200 or 300, and then they'll disappear really fast. So so that's pretty much all I got for you. Oh, also, by the way, forgot to mention, now that I'm here, might as well. For any of you guys that haven't joined, for new members that want to join into our trading room and our trading course, and boiler room trading for that matter, we're gonna run a 50% off sale till the end of the month. So basically until April 1st. Use the coupon code half off. It's literally the words half off at checkout. So you can't use it before. It has to be at checkout. You can use it for 50% off on our monthly program to join into our trading room. So if you want to check that out, good stuff. And then I guess at this point, I'll see you guys all tomorrow morning for another pre-market watch list. So Armando, check like the third link in the description for my trading broker. So other than that, that's all I have for you guys. I will catch you guys all tomorrow morning for another pre-market watch list. Okay, take care.